Hello and welcome to another episode of The Social Network. Now, interestingly today, as Mumbai's BMC considers banning mannequins from the shop windows because they feel that they promote sex crimes. And of course, those mannequins with lingeries in particular, because they feel it promotes sex crimes. We also have Mallika Sherawat and Priyanka Chopra practically on an all-out war on the social media over Mallika's comments at Cannes that she feels that India is very regressive still for women. So on the Social Network today, we discuss hide or highlight, regulate women's clothing or make men accountable. Now, before we slip into our debate and we introduce the panel for the day, we want to show you some images which leave you something to think about as you watch the panelists speak. All right, those of course are some of the images for you to think about. But before we introduce our panelists, let's quickly listen into what Anuradha makes of this whole debate.
After watching what Mallika Sherawat has to say, I have to completely agree with her. We might be in the 21st century, but we're still incredibly regressive when it comes to our attitudes about women. We still have a culture where we blame victims of rape rather than blaming the perpetrators, the perverts, the criminals who are actually committing the act. We say that a woman deserves rape because she was dressed a certain way or because she was acting a certain way. Somehow, if a woman is skimpily dressed, she's asking to be raped. Although who defines what skimpily dressed is, nobody knows. And this sort of continues into the ban on mannequins displaying lingerie, because apparently that will promote sex acts or sex crimes. Or women will feel awkward according to the corporator who called for the ban. It's the man or the person committing the rape who's to blame and not the woman who's being raped. Until we change that attitude, we're still being regressive. We're still being a victim-blaming, regressive, backward society.
All right, Anuradha really keys it all up, really. But introducing our panelists now quickly. We're joined from Mumbai by Makarand Navrekar, who's a Shiv Sainik cooperator and part of the legal committee. Thank you, Mr. Navrekar, for joining us. Also in the Delhi studio, we're joined by Maina Mukherjee, who's a curator. From Kolkata, we're joined by Kalol Datta. He's a designer. And we're also joined on a video call by Deepanjana Pal, who's the editor of entertainment of firstpost.com. Mr. Navrekar, I think the first comment has to be yours. I don't know if you managed to listen to what Anuradha was saying, but she was basically saying that how can mannequins, who decides what's skimpy, and how can we reduce basically what we think to inanimate, lifeless mannequins at shop windows in lingerie?
Now, let me first and foremost, correct you that I'm an independent candidate from South Mumbai, from Kulaban, not Shiv Sena. But coming to your point, it is not about mannequins, blaming women for the atrocities that are committed or for, the rape crime that is happening. It is more to do with display of mannequin in the, external facade or in the, outside the shops. One can have mannequins inside the store once a customer walks in. Once a customer has decided to purchase the garment and he walks in, he is ready. He or she is ready, most welcome to visually see it. But what has been said here or what has been proposed in the corporation is that not to have mannequins on the external facade displaying undergarment, which I think is fair considering the social scenario right now.
All right, Mr. Navrekar, just wanted to quickly apologize for introducing you as Shiv Sainik, and of course you are still though agreeing with their position, but I just want to take that across to Maina. Maina, inside or outside, does that really make a difference?
Absolutely not. In this case, I'm not a huge fan of Mallika Sherawat, but I would say that I would have to agree with her. India is a very regressive space for women at the moment. I do not think that displaying lingerie on mannequins would make the slightest bit of difference. We have parliamentarians in parliament looking at porn. We have that on camera. We have a cable TV which accesses Star World, Star News, which allows for all sort of television channels that children can access. The only argument for it that I would have seen would have been to protect children. But other than that, the majority of viewership in India at the moment has access to images that are far, far more titillating than mannequins and lingeries. So I think it's a fairly ridiculous argument to want to ban. I mean, I think that it's a quick fix thing that every government over here is trying to do, is a constant censorship of anything and everything that might possibly lead to a slight stelling, but it's absurd.
It's absurd. Okay, Kalol, that of course is Mayna's perspective. Kalol, you're designing clothes for women. I mean, largely the idea of women in the last decade, both if we look outside as well as inside, has become this idea of this perfect woman. And of course, the definition of perfect changes from where you are. But this whole argument about constantly covering up a woman, while men, on the other hand, I mean, now we see stores, at least in the West, also where stores where men are actually just wearing jeans and they're coming out and grabbing customers to come inside. So why is it okay for men to do it but not for women?
First of all, I think just by having this TV show, that we're kind of given importance to what those people have said about mannequins being moved inside and not outside, because they're just being sensational. And fine, let's discuss it. They've got the attention, but as a designer, it's my vision to put out a certain aesthetic outside to the viewers. It's the women who should decide what they want to wear, what they feel comfortable wearing. Some feel comfortable covering themselves up from head to toe, and some feel comfortable being nudists. And you have your two opposite extremes. People need to learn how to accept everybody's view and just live with it.